Hey guys, it is Wednesday, May 6th, and it is precisely 12 noon. Come on in! I hope you've all made yourselves nice and comfy and have your cup of tea. It is quite hot now, but I still fancy tea, but maybe I should have had cold tea. I think this is tradition now, where the iPad always rings every time I do an Instagram live. This is exactly what happened on last Friday. But welcome to my second chat session of Tea with Karen. You guys make this whole experience so wonderful and so magical. Thank you so much for tuning in last Friday with my BFF Timothy Amundsen. We had such a lovely time with you guys, and to see all your photos that you've been posting from the Tea with Karen challenges has been so heartwarming and so incredibly inspiring. It just warms my heart that you guys are participating and doing small or big acts of kindness for yourselves, for each other. It really warms my heart. I'm gonna just take a sip here. Okay, good to get started. What tea am I drinking today? I'm drinking PG Tips. Good old PG Tips. What are you guys drinking? Are you having cold iced tea or herbal tea or hot water with lemon or a hot chocolate? I know it's pretty hot out there, depending where you are, but the sun hopefully is shining on you. I'm so excited about today's best friend coming on. But before I introduce him, just so you know, you can catch up on Tea with Karen. I have posted the video on my YouTube channel, Karen David TV. So all the episodes will be uploaded on there. I am working on a Tea with Karen website as we speak, so there'll be a bunch of goodies on there as well. So definitely tune in there. So don't worry if you're at work or you're busy at home and you've missed one. It's all good. It's all good. I've had such lovely, lovely help from Tom and Charlotte and my web gal, Gemma. You guys would have tuned in yesterday, some of you, and gone through the whole debacle of trying to figure out technically different platforms that allow you to multi-stream from one app. So that's been rather funny. It turned out into a bit of a comedy show yesterday. So thank you for all your help, and bear with us as we try to navigate through this. You guys are such absolute stars. The Tea with Karen challenge, the gratitude jars. Beautiful. I love how you guys have become so creative with these challenges. Some of you have put your pieces of gratitude notes in tins, in tea tins I've seen, or cups of tea I've seen in a cup, well, no tea in it, but a tea mug. We wouldn't want that, they'd get wet. Or I've seen them being put in decorative boxes. It's just so wonderful, and again, makes me smile so much. Did you feel good when you were writing about them? Nina Eva Regal, hello. Once XOUAT, Pretty Clown 315. I'm going to do some shout outs throughout. But I hope it brought a smile to your face. I find that when we have experiences or moments of anxiety or uncertainty, a quick pick-me-up is to immediately start thinking of the things that we do have in our lives, things that we are blessed with. And number one thing is our health. Our health is everything. So don't forget to thank your bodies and your hearts and your minds for being so strong. Adam and I, Adam Croasdell, we'll be choosing 4 winners at random for 4 care packages, which we will be sending out. Now, just a note, as you guys know, but I'm just gonna, for those of you just tuning in for the first time, the care packages that will be sent out. Sometimes it's possible for me to send it out immediately, like last Friday it was Amazon gift cards, so that was quick and easy. Sometimes they're actually physical gifts, which I've been able to accrue my own savings, which I happily do for you guys. Because I want to put something special, but I've also been approached by some sponsors too who have such wonderful care package gift ideas. So I'll be putting some stuff in from them too and giving them a big shout out because they've been so kind to participate in the Tea with Karen challenges. So we just have to wait because I can't send everything all at once. I don't want to go to the post office too much because we're all told to stay at home. So I will get those out to you in one go in the near future. I will take your addresses down, so don't think that I would have forgotten. It will be just sent out at a later date. Thank you guys for staying home. You are saving lives, continuing to stay home. I know it's tough. It's like a marathon, isn't it? We are in the 8th week of quarantine. So, I mean... Do you guys still have your sanity? You guys have played such a fundamental role in my joy and with each other too. It warms my heart. It gives me faith in humanity. Just seeing you guys being so nurturing in this community that we have established together. I am so truly proud of you guys. Thank you for doing that. You guys are wonderful. So my dear friend is so gorgeous and so amazing and so talented and so grounded and kind and does tons of philanthropic work. Did I mention he's really gorgeous? Yeah, and super talented. You would know him from playing Papa Hook on Once Upon a Time, or Bothwell on Rain. And in Preacher, he was quite the handsome, dapper vampire, even with blood dripping, just very handsome. You also know him in the VO world. He's been the voice, he's done many voiceovers for Final Fantasy, Call of Duty. He is my dear friend, Adam Croasdell, and I am going to see if I can, why isn't this going? Oh, here we go. Yay, there's Adam. I'm going to add now and bring him on. I'm so excited for him to be joining me today for a cup of tea.
What?
Hey!
Here we are.
Look at you, gorgeous.
Hello, love. Look at you, sparkling and radiant.
That's called makeup.
Listen,
I'm gonna
just
be
thought this was a quiet little knees up
camera
between
with you
two
guys, and
friends. I didn't realise we should have worn makeup.
Well, fortunately for
I'm gonna
you,
get in the bathroom and put my makeup on.
How are you, love?
I'm excellent, thank you, my love. How are you doing? Listen, congrats. This is what, episode 2?
This is my second one, and you're my second bestie that's coming on here. Thank you so much for doing
How are you? How's it feeling? Are you enjoying doing this?
It's good. Yeah, you know what? It's so wonderful to do something together. I feel like this isn't my chat session. It's our chat session. It's everyone tuned in that this is all for each other. They come up with such amazing ideas. It's just the camaraderie that's being fostered on our social media pages that makes me so incredibly proud. And
someone's just tuned in from India, so your reach is magnificent. Hello, India.
Hello, India. Mom, my birthplace.
Your birthplace, exactly.
Namaste.
Namaste. By the way, this might be the new handshake for the whole world after Corona. Pranam.
Right?
Don't touch anybody, just do a little pranam. The Asians have known it for millennia. What a clever idea, right?
Yeah, and you would know, especially too, because you've traveled to India and to Nepal, right? That
well, so not quite Nepal, but I was up there in Dharamsala. So I stayed with with actually in a Tibetan monastery, and I was up there for quite some time. So yes, I know a little bit about various reasons. I wouldn't say I'm an absolute aficionado, but I've been around India. And yeah, it's just the most remarkable experience. You've obviously spent time there too, haven't you?
I have. I mean, I don't go often enough to where I was born, Shillong, which makes me very sad. I need to, I am very much overdue a trip. But I've been enough time, well, not enough times. It's never enough. I always want to go back to India. I've been there quite a few times for work, but you know what it's like when you're working, you don't have that flexible schedule to go and do things. If you have a day off, you're either catching up on sleep from filming, or you only have a few hours to do a few things. So I need to go back. I miss it so much, and I live vicariously through your travels, because you go
yeah, I do like to travel.
You know, I mean, I think that's one thing that I miss so much is the travel too.
Yeah.
And our world is truly a small place. But guys, if you don't know, Adam, he travels quite often. You know, like mini sabbaticals almost, right? During breaks, if there's a Christmas break or something, and it's so good to do because it just nurtures the soul and just feeds the mind. It's so important to take those breaks. We're often so afraid to take breaks.
And I think you're right. Especially in America, people have sort of, I think it's only about 10 days holiday a year officially from there, you know, and I don't think that's good for one's output as a worker, for starters, let alone one's sort of enriching of one's life and one's soul. But I also think that if one has the means to travel, it almost should be mandatory. In fact, it should be mandatory. It's important that we get out there and we explore other cultures. And then we suddenly realize that our worldview isn't necessarily the most important worldview, which we always think that it is. You know, very important to get a broad spectrum worldview. I had the most amazing experience with on a movie that I did. We were in Romania, and we were in this tiny little town in the middle of the mountains, and it was predominantly American cast. And we were sitting down at the breakfast buffet, and there was a television up the back there, and the lead was sort of watching this television. It was a news broadcast, and after a while, I could see he's a very articulate, very bright guy, but he sort of looked more and more perplexed as this broadcast went on. And then he turned around and he goes, "Guys, do you know that Europe has its own news? Like it's..." And I was like, "Well, of course it has its own news," but he meant that they were upfronting Europe's news ahead of America's news, because his worldview was obviously American, and he thought, being, I guess, the biggest nation in the world, it had the most, you know, the most import on everything that happened internationally, which of course it doesn't. It's only one player. But it was so fascinating. It was a very interesting sort of insight into how our psyches can work. We're so relativistic. We're so like, it's from our point of view. So if you can travel, get out and get other points of view. It's so essential, and it gets rid of xenophobia. It gets rid of this idea that we have to be so protective over certain things, and it's very, very, very needed. And I know everybody can't. It's often very expensive, but if one can, one should.
Yeah, my dad always told me since I was a little girl, he's like, "I want you to explore the world, you know, get some life. That's the best life experience." I mean, even as actors, I find that it's important, obviously, to go to school and to train with the best of the best if you can. But life experience, there is something about life experience that I find just fuels an actor's depth.
Absolutely.
So, and you can't beat that. So, and whether you're an actor or not, I just think it's so important to go and explore and see the world, because you learn so much about yourself.
You sure do.
When you leave home. I always thought, Adam, I would leave home till I was like, I don't know, 30 and got married or something. That's what I really thought when I was much younger. I thought, oh yeah, I'm not going to leave home till I was, you know, I got a lot of time for that. And then I think the first time I left home was 17 to go to Boston to study music. And then after 19, and I never thought, like, only now do I realize, man, I had it so good. Didn't have to pay rent, didn't have to worry about overheads.
Yeah, I know.
Mom and Dad cooked amazing Indian and Chinese food every day.
That's amazing.
I had it so good. I'm like, why did I ever leave? But then I can't complain now because Carl cooks really amazingly. So
he does.
So I'm spoiled in that way. But you've got to. They call it the salad day. So I always tell kids or teens that are still at home. I know sometimes it can be tough because you want to get out of that big world and you've got to still obey mom and dad's rules in the house and be respectful of that. But I'm telling you, there's a lot to be said by not having to worry about those overheads, you know.
Oh my God, yeah.
enjoy being a student, enjoy
Enjoy
being,
it while you can,
you
because it's
know.
never the same.
I know,
But,
and I
but
know a lot of them, and God bless all the parents out there, all the
yeah,
teachers who are doing homeschooling. It was Teachers' Day a few days ago. Superheroes again,
amazing.
both parents and teachers, you know, that have to homeschool right now. And my heart goes out to all those that are going to be graduating and are missing these milestones, like their prom
God bless
and
them.
yeah. But I think we should like do something on social media where we can celebrate all the graduates and everything.
I think that's a great idea, actually. Yeah, because it's such a big day for them, and it's the culmination of so much hard work.
Yeah,
It'd be great to celebrate them, actually.
yeah. And I really hope that when we come out of this, because we will,
Yeah.
when that day comes, hopefully soon, that we can do something, that the schools will do something. Obviously, it'll be a new norm, it's slightly different, but even if it means breaking it down to smaller groups where they can still go and you know, celebrate their milestone.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
it's so
Yeah. Well, I think we've got to get ready for a lot of change. I think, look, who knows how things are going to be done from here on in. It's very interesting. I know we're sort of phasing, we're going through the phases out of Corona lockdown here in California at the moment, which is for better or for worse. Who knows? Time will tell.
yeah.
But certainly the world is in the middle of a change. It's in the middle of I think, a very important change. And it's very interesting that we're around to see it. I think we're living in a very, very, very interesting time, and not just in the Chinese sense in that it's a curse, because it isn't. There's a lot of blessings about what's going on right now. And we count the ways often on social media, what we have to be thankful for. And that's, as you've mentioned before, it's so important to get into your gratitude. And I see you doing the gratitude jars, which is such a great exercise.
Did you see how many of those beautiful jars and tins, like it was so heartwarming.
I know. And what it does psychologically is so important to the people who are doing it as an exercise. We all should be doing it and walking around with a sense of gratitude about everything, because it's that Einstein quote, isn't it? You know, you can either walk around thinking that nothing's a miracle, or think that everything's a miracle. And when I stop to think about it, I look at this creation around me, not to be too woo-woo about everything, but creation, the pure mathematics of creation is astounding, right? Yeah. The fact that creation has evolved into human beings who can self-reflect on creation and philosophize about it is beyond comprehension in terms of how interesting and exciting that is. To me, I think that there's an underlying intelligence underneath the entire matrix of creation. And we're all eddies of energy, and we're experiencing it in different ways. So to me, everything is a miracle. If you stop to think about it scientifically as well as philosophically, it's sort of, I was looking at something on Blue Planet last night about the Japanese pufferfish, I tell you. And this little fish, David Attenborough, God bless him, he says, this little fish is so dull as to be completely boring, except for one fact. He does this thing where he creates this geometric pattern by swimming around on the ocean bed floor, on the sand, for 24 hours a day for a week. And he sculpts out a huge geometric pattern to attract a mate. No other animal in the world that we know of does this, but it's an incredible mathematical
24
pattern.
hours? 24
hours for a week. This is according to Attenborough.
Well, I'm going to have words with Carl. He did that for me. I mean, what's up with that?
The intelligence behind it, you're sort of like, hold on, that's a little pufferfish. And it's creating geometric designs on the ocean floor to attract a mate. Everything's a miracle, I think. So not to go around with an attitude of gratitude is sort of so against our very nature, I think. I'm not trying to sort of discount the fact that terrible things happen and people are undergoing very hard times. That is for sure. That's part of the makeup. But if you look at everything else that's happening around you, there's a lot of incredible stuff that's happening too. And to be grateful for that sets you up for more good things to happen.
Oh, it's so true. It's and I often think that we don't give ourselves enough credit for being resilient. We are truly survivors. And especially when you have mouths to feed, you just go into survival mode. You do whatever it takes.
Absolutely.
Help. We're so much stronger than we think. But it's true, when you have a heart full of gratitude, your heart is truly full. I remember when I was filming in India,
Yeah.
and I was working with the Slumdog Millionaire composer A.R. Rahman,
Oh,
and
amazing.
he put me in this lovely hotel, and I had a butler. And
Stop it. You what? You had a
I
butler?
had a
What?
butler. I had
Brilliant.
a butler for the whole time. And his name was Ravi, and he was so sweet. And he had such a joyful smile. It was so genuine. And you know, when they smile with the whole body and and heart and soul. And it was just this beautiful smile. He'd come in every day first thing in the morning and say, Miss Karen, what would you like? And I'm so not used to that. But I wanted to talk to Ravi, and his family, they live in a very poor community in the slums, but immaculately dressed, took pride in everything, he did, and every little thing. And I never knew the feeling of jealousy, because I was brought up by my family that jealousy, no. That's such a waste of an effort, of an emotion. You should always be happy and rejoice in wonderful things that happen to good people. And so that's how I was brought up. So
I love that.
I see my friends, you guys doing so well and thriving and growing and being happy and having amazing things happen to you, I'm just so inspired, and I'm like, yay!
I'm the same, yeah. I love it.
Good people, and it makes me so happy. And but for the first time in my life, I felt envy, because here was a man who had nothing and yet had everything, because he had gratitude in his heart.
Yeah, gratitude, yeah. That's
and
it.
He would give so much when he had so little, but yet what he gave in his joy, in his kindness, in his generosity, in wanting to help and be helpful, in giving, his wife made these amazing, delicious Indian sweets. I mean, just the hospitality and the kindness.
Oh my God, India for that.
Millionaire. A gazillionaire,
exactly.
Millionaire,
an absolute millionaire, exactly, living in very humble. So because that you raise a very good point, because you can have, I see people up in Hollywood and various places in affluent places, and they feel they lack something. They lack a lot. They've got a lot materially, but they lack a lot in their core. And then you see kings in poor places. I mean, just poor people, but who have the bearing of kings and queens, because they are so happy and at peace with what they have. In the poorest parts of Africa, I've been welcomed into huts where the mother and the father treat you like royalty, and they behave with such regalness. Because they are in charge, and they are very happy with everything that they have. And I felt the same in India too, exactly the same way. It's not in a proud way, but just there's a bearing about them. They just are very centered and happy with their lot, and are incredibly magnanimous with it too. And it is and happy about where they're at on the spectrum.
Genuinely happy, and
it's
that
amazing.
I will never
it's a lesson to all of us.
Yeah, I'll never forget that moment. It just, I really learned a lot. That's why this is what I'm telling the gang on here, that, when you have moments where you feel distressed, it's important to acknowledge those feelings and honor those feelings, because you are human, and it's so important to acknowledge those feelings. But then you take a deep breath and you let it go. And you give it up to, whatever it is that's out there, God, universe, whatever it is that fulfills your heart, fills your heart with hope. I think it's really important that you let go, and then you trust and you practice having faith that everything will fall into the place the way it should. Why? Because we have each other. Why? Because there's amazing human beings out there that are trying to make the world a better place. And that is something that you have been instrumental with, Adam. I see on your Instagram stories and everything, you posting about awareness for climate change, things that we can do right from home. And I know, some people, and some people feel, oh, well, I'm just one person, but it just adds up. It creates this positive domino effect. And I'm really excited. Like, I can recycle things, and just little things you're doing your part. And I don't know if it's part of the process of aging and, you know, as each year goes by, but you feel like you want to do something like, what do you want your life to mean?
That's
you know,
quite right.
Like,
Yeah.
what are you? And I asked myself, okay, yes, you and I are actors, but outside of that, what are we as humans? Like, what do we want our lives to truly represent? So that when we're old and grey,
what is your legacy? Yeah.
You know, you want to look back and feel really proud of yourself and say, I did the things I wanted to do. And I have no regrets, and I lived a good life, and I had fun, you know?
Exactly. And you see, the two aren't mutually exclusive. You don't just have to be a serious sort of do-gooder. You can be a do-gooder and have fun with it. And that, I think, is so important. You have to have the fun, because I think our very nature should be, I think it ultimately actually is joy. It is joy. I think we've sort of assembled on this planet to have an experience together, but it's not just to undergo and to keep you know, just suffering. And that you, when the time comes, and everything's seasonal, it's sort of back and forth, but when the time comes for joy, like, be joyous, like, lap it up, and infuse, like, the daily with as much joy as you can. I think it's so essential. In the mundane, find the cool, interesting little things, and there's so much around if you stop to look. And I think a lot of people are, and quite rightly so, I totally understand, you have to make the rent, and you have to pay the car payments, you have to look after the kids. But in those thoughts, you can couple that with, okay, it's a way of looking at it. So maybe start by saying, I get to pay the rent. I have money, and I get to keep this roof over my head. You know, I have kids. Sure, it's hard work, but I have kids. Woohoo! You know, so turn the horrible thought or the stressing thought around on its head, and use the word, I get to do this, rather than I have to do this. And you start to have fun with it. Like, I get to have kids. Woohoo! So here they are, and let me enjoy this house. Let me have a party. You know, like, it's important to build that in.
Yeah, my mom always reminds me every day. Well, my mom sends her love. She's watching too.
Thank you.
Watching too. She's like, you're with gorgeous Adam. I said, I know.
She's gorgeous. That's where you get your looks, by the way. She's an utter stunner. So.
She sends her love, and she
mine goes out to her too.
Oh, she, you know what? It doesn't matter with our parents, right? It doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are, that you'll always be their babies. And Mom's so funny. She's like, you know, she's talking about gratitude before we move on to Q&As, because you've got a bunch of Q&As.
Cool.
Beloved fans. But Mom always says, she says, you know, Karen, you've got to be very grateful for breathing. We forget our beating hearts beat. You know, our bodies are so miraculous for what they do to keep us going every day. She said, you have to thank your heart. I'm like, okay, Mom, I'll thank my heart. Thank you, Karen's heart. Thank you, heart. I love you. You know, and then she says, and then, you know, too, she said, you've got to be grateful that when you go to the washroom, that you can do a pee and a poo. Like, be grateful that your digestive system is working, that you can do a pee and a poo. And I'm like, you know what, Mom, you are absolutely right. It's just these little things, you know.
It's so true. One of the Indian pundits, and I forget which one it was, but they were sort of saying, you know, as you just said, be thankful for your body, because you imagine it, your body's full, it's trillions of cells, but they're all working in such beautiful sort of choreography together. They're communicating, and they are affecting sometimes thousands of units of work done every second. A lot of these cells are processing things out, exchanging information, you name it, but they all work in this incredible sort of harmony. And so if you think about them, in this pundit was sort of saying, think about them as a trillion individuals who are working for you, because essentially they are. You know, everything we get to do is because our body, we give the command, and then the body goes, okay, let's make that happen. And then they go ahead and do it. I mean, so the gratitude for your body is, I completely concur.
Oh yeah. I just, I'm in awe when it's always when, I think I was doing an allergy test. Oh, you're going to laugh, Adam. So this is when I was in London last year. I went to do an allergy test, and they analyze my blood, like a live analysis of my blood. So they prick your finger, and then they put it on the side, put it right underneath. And I'm lying down, you know, watching this big screen, waiting for something to pop up, and I have no idea what it was. And all of a sudden I see these like blood cells, and they're like bopping all over the place, bouncing, and they're like having a party and dancing, and they're bouncing about. And I'm like, oh wow, what's that? He goes, those are your cells. And I was so mesmerized by seeing on this big screen from one little prick of blood, all these blood cells that we have, healthy ones, thankfully, and they're bopping around like as if they're like throwing basketball, whatever. And all of a sudden, I just started. I'm getting soppy in my old age now.
No,
I got so teary. I was like, those are my blood cells, and they're working, and they're helping, and they're working.
Yeah,
and,
it's true. I mean, it's just true. You're right. You're right
so
on.
Humbled by and in total awe of how our bodies work. And they say that, you know, stress just, you know, when you have too much stress and you're not dealing with the stresses, that the impact that has on our bodies is
massively. You know? You've heard about who's the Japanese professor, and he's done all sorts of work with water. Have you heard about him? So what he does is he takes a petri dish, I suppose, of pond water, and he puts it in sort of, say, 5 different petri dishes, and then he simply like labels each petri dish, so it's the same water, and he photographs it at a microscopic level to begin with, and then he puts on these little labels, so that the first one says I love you, and the second one says I hate you, and the third one goes, and you know, he writes these emotions on the side, leaves it overnight, and then he comes back the next day and he photographs the same water again. Very fascinating. But the I love you one has very sort of smooth angles in the molecules and the cells, like very smooth connectivity between. When you get to the I hate you, it's jagged and like very uneasy on the eye, and so on. And he's saying, oh my God, just through intention, the makeup of water changes. So he's saying, if you and I are 75% water, or whatever it is, as human beings, we are 75% water, and say I stand in front of the mirror and I go, I'm sad today, what does that do to every one of your cell structures in your body? But if you stand in front of your mirror and you go, I'm happy, even if you don't feel it to begin with, but you set the intention of, I'm happy, what does that do to your body structure on a fundamental cellular level? And I think we should think about things like those. Our self-talk is literally changing our physiology. So we've got to be very careful about what's playing through our heads at any point. You've got to learn, and this is how we get to mastery, people. If you get into the Eastern sort of side of religion, meditation, you monitor your thoughts. And the moment your thoughts go into a dark place, it's up to you to pull them back by switching those thoughts out for brighter thoughts. And no one can do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. No one can do it for you. You are completely responsible for the way you feel at the end of the day. It's a hard lesson to take on board, because there's all sorts of externals, and those will always change. Those will always be affecting of you. But you are a master at how you respond to the stimulus around you. You have a say in how you respond. Very important. And
I often say to, you know, sometimes when, and I'm sure you've received notes too, from some of the fans too, even when they only have like a little bit of hope left, I'm like, hold on to even that, you know, it's like pulling yourself out of a rope. But just by talking about it is so good. You're helping yourself. You're bringing back self-love to yourself, you know, because understandably sometimes, you know, life throws a lot of things at us, you know, sometimes small, sometimes big. And it's okay if you need help, or if you need to talk to someone. I think talking and communicating is so important, because immediately you're shifting the energy, you know.
You're so right. Can I share with you like a little technique that I've come up with? I think I might have told you about it. If I haven't, forgive me. But so guys, this is really helpful, and I realized it one day. I had 3 friends come to me, and they completely were in bits about their lives and stuff that happened, and they were just like, oh, everything's terrible. So I spent hours either on the phone or in person with these 3, commiserating and sort of, you know, trying to, you know, just be there for them. Anyway, at the end of the day, I was exhausted on a deeply spiritual, physical, mental. I was flat like a battery. I was flat.
Because you care.
Yeah, because you were. I was empathizing. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, at the end, I was so dead. I thought to myself, there's got to be a better way than this, because I'm sympathetic to people's plights. I'm quite empathetic to how people feel, and I want to be there for my friends and people that I don't know, my larger community. So, but I thought there's got to be a way that I can do this more effectively. And I thought, I had this idea, and I've instituted it amongst my friends, and it's called the 10-minute rule. The 10-minute rule. And it's this: if a friend comes to you and they're having a terrible day, you go, okay, 1 sec. You now have 10 minutes to tell me about it all. You can scream, you can pull out your hair, you can weep into my shoulder and use my sleeve as your tissue, but you only have 10 minutes to get out the way you're feeling. That's it. At the end of 10 minutes, I'm going to stop you, and we're going to start talking about what's good in your life and ways that maybe we can rectify your life. Because if you don't do that, you start to empathize so much that you go, yeah, that reminds me of a time that I had a terrible situation. And then you think about it yourself. Oh, I had that terrible situation. And then they go, oh yeah, that reminds me of another time I had another terrible situation. And suddenly you go down the rabbit hole together into a very dark place energetically. Yeah. So what the 10-minute rule does, it allows you to sort of X-gas. It allows the gas to come out of the combustion engine. It allows the gas to safely escape as much as possible for 10 minutes. And then you force your friend to now think positively about their lives and the things in their lives. And what I've also, another prerequisite of it is that you have to say, and I sort of go, and remember, you have to make me do the 10-minute rule when I come to you with a terrible day myself. So it's mutual. So they don't think it's just being done to them, but you both do it for each other. So try and instigate this 10-minute rule, because it's helped so many people.
Oh, Adam, that's so wonderful. And I'm so sorry for the beeping everything. You know how it is working from home.
Oh, yeah, no.
Get deliveries and whatnot. So it's like beep, beep, beep. And I was like, oh, mine was going to start barking and all of that.
Yeah, no worries. It's just life, isn't it?
I love that. I love that so much. I love your mug.
Right? I mean, what?
What kind of tea are you having?
It's a very personal thing, cup of tea. Mine is not. Yeah, look, there's going to be haters out there, especially if you're from England.
No, this is a judgment-free zone.
Okay, judgment-free zone. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, this is what I'm into at the moment, and I got to say, it's my favorite cup of tea. Yeah. It is. It's a double bagger. No filthy jokes, please. This is a family channel. Of Earl Grey. 2 bags of Earl Grey, but I do put in a little almond milk and honey, and it is just a perfect cup of tea for me at the moment.
That sounds scrumptious.
But it does, but you're not supposed to do Earl Grey with any milk in it, or any, do you know what I mean? It's all those things that you're not supposed to do.
Wedge of lemon and...
Yeah, exactly. What are you drinking, David?
Well, I'm drinking, first of all, we're in a pandemic, so... You can drink whatever you like. That makes you feel happy, okay? I've got good old PG tips, love.
Yes, love.
Dirty terms, and I like it strong. Build a strong. Build a strong tea. I've got, I'm sugar-free now. I don't have sugar, so I've got stevia in it with some almond milk. And it is lovely. Yes.
Does stevia feel like a bit of a cuckoo in the nest? Does stevia, like, sort of slap you around the taste buds, like in a weird way? I don't know. I've not had enough of it to know. It's a weird,
but what I have now discovered is monk fruit sweetener, and I've actually been doing a baking video for the kids and teens, because I want to do a challenge in the future. It's going to be soon, guys, but not just yet. But it's going to be a baking challenge to try and use monk fruit sweetener or stevia, just as long as it's not sugar, because that's so bad for you. And I made these cookies, and they taste so yummy. I have to make you some.
Yes, you do. Yeah. I'm afraid you do.
I do. I will. No, I will, though, especially because...
Yeah, good. I expect them.
So, okay, so we got to get to your Q&As. And for those of you, you know, at the bottom, you've got the question marks. That's where you can also leave some questions. But for those of you who responded to my post yesterday for Q&As for Adam and I, Adam at Laney Christine says, what was your favorite to film in rain?
My favorite film in rain? Did you mean episode?
Yeah, episode, like any favorite part or scene.
Oh, I see. Yeah, there were two maybe that I really liked. Well, there was multiple. Oh my God! Now you got me thinking.
I know, and we
it's so hard.
5 minutes left, and it's like.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go through it quickly. I loved the being there as Adelaide Kane gave birth. I mean, that was kind of an amazing day on set. Everyone was so, you know, because these things are witnessed back in the day. They weren't a private affair. It was very much a part of court life to be witness to various things. I believe in the French court, you'd be witnessed waking up if you were the king and the queen, and there would be a bunch of your highest sort of courtiers around you as you woke up. I mean, how weird is that? They'd just be standing around your bed, and it was a big honor. Anyway, like watching her give birth. And there was another big night in a woods where we went galloping through the forest at night to find a burnt down mansion. And my horse just went utterly crazy, and I really had to do a bit of rodeo up in the forest. My horse like spun around multiple times and eventually sort of threw me off. But it was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was a big, because I had 12 horsemen coming up behind me as well. So I had to, they all came running, like it was quite a dangerous situation, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, I'm glad you were right.
And then there was another one, which was a great night, which was with Will Kemp, who plays Darnley. And we fought each other. We had a big battle, a big choreographed battle after sort of dissing each other terribly in the interiors, you know. We were really awful to each other verbally, and then we got into this big fight, which ended up in the house burning down behind us. But in fact, it was snowing on the night, and we went through to about 4 or 5 in the morning, like getting this shot. So it was fire and snow and blood and guts, and it was pretty cool.
Oh, isn't that a great way to pay the bills?
I know, we're very lucky. We're very lucky.
How wonderful. At Art Hayden's asks, Adam, is it fun to be a voiceover actor for video games like Final Fantasy?
It's enormous fun. I keep saying this to people, but it's that thing of you don't have to learn the lines. That's the first thing. It's amazing. I mean, you don't know how long it takes us to learn lines to make television films for you. It takes a while. But with the voiceover stuff, you go into, because it's all top secret, you go into the recording booth, and your lines are there for you for the first time. So it is much more immediate. You have to make your character instantly happen very immediately. But yeah, it's great. And also not having to rely so much on how you look and costume. It's just like straight into the character every day. Get straight.
You can go in your PJs and your, specs and just
completely in your sloth onesie. You know what I mean? It's like good times.
So Adam, they are asking one more question. Blue Fairy Faye, yeah, that's the same one. What are your favorite memories of working on Once Upon a Time? I mean, look, guys, he played Papa Hook. Hook is so handsome. Papa's also handsome. I mean, the apple does not fall far from the tree here.
Oh, you're so kind. It was so much fun stepping onto that, well, multiple sets, actually. I mean, as we all know, I was only on it for an episode, and I dearly wished that I would have come back for more. Because especially when everyone went to the underworld, I thought, well, Papa Hook's bound to be there. So I was hoping against hope. But while I was on set, we started, my first day on set was arriving in a sound stage, and it had a part of a seafaring ship, just totally constructed ship, but about a third of it was constructed, and it was on a gimbal, meaning sort of a hydraulic ram that can make it move. And I thought, this is amazing. We got into the cabin and all the rest, and they were doing lightning flashes outside. They add the sound effects later, but it really felt like you were there. And that's one of the amazing things about being an actor. often we have to use imagination to fill in the gaps, especially if you're green screening, if you're doing mocap, all the rest, you use your imagination a lot. It's very rare that you get on a particular set and everything it just makes you feel like you've stepped into another world. And that's what it felt like for my first scene there.
It's that kind of show where it just transports you into this magical realm, and
that's it. And then the fact that also you become part of the Disney sort of family franchise. You are, I mean, you know more than many. I mean, Jasmine, come on now. But you are like you have all that sort of just delight and expectation sort of attached to the fact you walk on. You are like, I'm this person who people already love, and then they loved you even more when you did what you did. But it's remarkable to sort of step into that family, to be associated with Hook as his father was amazing. I'll tell you a story. When I was a little kid, the first piece of theatre I ever saw was a Christmas show of Peter Pan, and I was blown away. My mum tells me the story. She sort of goes, he was on the edge of his seat the whole time with eyes like saucers. He was completely engaged me. And I can remember it so clearly, and the magic of it all. That was my first piece of theatre. And then when I first moved to England, my second piece of theatre was Peter Pan. And then I get to America and I get to sort of step in and be Hook's dad. I mean, it's a real privilege. It's a real privilege to sort of step into a pre-existing world that's so beloved.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
These iconic characters too that we've all grown up.
With, exactly.
And so it's such an honor and almost a positive responsibility of because everyone has their ideals of how a character should and shouldn't be. So it's trying to honor those expectations in a way, but also
bring your own interpretation
to it. And one thing I loved for Adam and Eddie too was that they were very good about working together with us in creating characters that were very accessible and relatable in today's day and age. I wanted Princess Jasmine to be relatable. She's just got as much of a heart as anyone else does, and her heart breaks as much as anyone else does. Same with Papa Hook. But Erica Carlson asks if we're going to redo our karaoke song, I've Had the Time of My Life. And it's so funny because I had left it on my laptop, but it's in the other room. So I'm going to...
I'll just take it from here. You go get your laptop.
Well...
It's become tea with Adam.
You can talk, right? Okay, you talk to them. I'm going to grab my laptop for 2 seconds.
Talk to them, yeah. I'll see what comes up in the little timeline down here. I think we've got guests who've come in from South Africa, from Sydney. Hello, everybody.
I know. Okay, Adam, can you do some shout-outs?
Yes, absolutely. That's what I'm going to do right now. From Brazil. Guys, this is amazing. From India, Brazil, South Africa, Australia, England, it looks like, from what I've been reading as we've been talking. So, listen, thanks for joining. This is amazing. So cool that you've joined. Hello from England, Emma. Hello. Oh, and from Canada as well. Brilliant.
Woo-hoo.
Pennsylvania. There we go, Brazil, yes. And the Netherlands. Isn't this amazing that we have this technology for the time of COVID? Isn't it extraordinary that the world can be this together?
United.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's so miraculous. So are you ready? Have you got your lyrics in front of you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, guys, this is just for you. Adam and I are going to sing just a few minutes, a snippet of the time of your life, because we, Adam, let me show before we get started, we have giggled on plane rides together. We have danced together.
Good times.
We've been traveling on the convention route together with our beloved family. I look like I'm
there they are.
Eat your head or something, or finger. And then we've hung out together over Shakespearean theatre together.
Amazing.
It's been since 2017, and yet you've become one of my dearest friends. I feel like I've known each other longer.
I feel that we have.
You ready? You ready to sing? I think you go first.
Do we have a backing track, or are we just going to go for it?
Oh, you missed your cue, Adam, already.
Sorry, I only heard it right now. I wonder if there's a delay. Let's see.
Is there a delay? Oh no.
I don't know. Let's find out.
Okay.
Am I coming straight in with the music?
Now
I had the time of my life. No, I've never felt this way before. Yes, I swear it's the truth, and I owe it all to you.
I had the time of my life. And I'm just giggling.
Where are we?
Okay.
I can hardly hear it.
Album, someone, no, stand by me.
Cool.
We saw the writing on the wall, felt this magical fantasy.
Now with passion in our eyes, there's no way we could disguise it secretly. So we take each other's hands, cause we seem to understand the urgency. Just remember, you're the one thing I can't get enough of. So I tell you something, this could be love, because look, it's much harder than we make it look, guys. It's much harder than we make it look.
It's a delay. The delay is going.
There's a delay. It's so weird.
It sounds like two drunkards singing.
Exactly that.
Do you remember that lift?
Do I remember the
that
lift?
crazy lift? I don't know what came over me the first time. We literally just met.
You were like, let's do the lift. I was like, wow. In my head, I was like, I know how hard this is because I've seen people online try and do this. And I was like, okay, she seems game. I'm going to be game too. And then
I was like, oh, hi, I'm Karen. And you look really strong because you've got strong arms. We can do the lift. Let's do the lift. Can you call Adam? What he must have thought when we first met.
No, look, I admired your sass. And in fact, I think that sealed the deal with our friendship. I was like, this girl. Yes. That's just a straight yes.
Well, the first time we did do the lift, it worked so brilliantly. You were so brilliant. And then we decided to try it again. But then in Toronto, and that was such an epic fail. It was
amazing because you daintily kept your legs up, like as we, you had your sort of heels towards your butt as I grabbed you and brought you down, and I thought your feet were now on the floor, so I sort of leant a bit forward to put you on the floor, but there were no feet there because your feet were up, and we collapsed.
And then all of a sudden,
we collapsed into glory, I like to feel. It's much talked about.
Yeah. You see these pictures of you on top of me with my legs up in the air. It's such an uncompromising position. And Carl saw it and he said, oh, I bet you love that. I was like, yeah.
Oh, that is genius. Look, Carl, you're quite safe, mate. It was witnessed by 5,000 people inside that hall.
I'm turning this beat red just like thinking of it. It was so much fun. Adam, we've had such good times.
Yeah, I had so many good times.
I'm so grateful, and I love you to bits, and I'm so happy that you'll continue to put up with me.
Continue to put up with you, please. I'd be devastated if I couldn't put up with you. Be devastated. It's not putting up with you. You're an utter delight. You crazy.
Oh no, this is when I realized that it's the friendships that you have in your life that's the success. There is the company you keep, and you always inspire me, love, and you inspire so many of those that tune in to everything that you do with your journey and your adventure. I love how passionate you are about raising awareness about environmental change and climate change. And please keep doing what you do, because it's just, we need more Adams in the world, but
and more Karens. Like, this is what you're doing here. So and you're doing all sorts of other things besides. So back at you, kid. Oh, you look, one little bit of good news. Well, not a little bit of good news. Do you know that there's a hole? There was a hole in the ozone layer over the Arctic Circle for a long time. Had to do with CFCs that came with your deodorants and in fridges to cool them. It was causing this big hole to open up, which was letting in a lot of rays, hard sun, UVC rays, I think. But now with this corona, everyone's sort of being forced to stay at home, that hole apparently has sealed itself closed, and the ozone is back to normal up in the northern hemisphere. So that's an enormous bit of news. So if you all think, every individual out there, that you don't have any power, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. That hole has closed. And a lot of drops in the bucket make a huge bucket finally, right, of water. So if we all check on our labels and don't buy palm oil, foods that contain palm oil, you're going to be saving forests. And if you save forests, then that can capture back carbon dioxide, and therefore the air will be cleaner, and therefore global warming will slow. So everybody has power. And Karen talked about it earlier on in our conversation today. You must step into your power as an individual and realize that what you do does make a difference, because we're creeping up on, what are we creeping up on, 7 billion people, are we? Or is it creeping up on 8 even? Sorry, my mind's up. I haven't had enough sleep, but it's a lot of billions. And we all need to be doing stuff, guys. We can't rely on our governments. They move very slowly. And lobbyists get in the way of government policy often. So you have to do your research and get a good spectrum from trusted sources. Science is real. Look at the science. Don't look at the politicking around science. Look at the science. Go to the scientists, what the scientists say. See who they're funded by. And if they're funded by lobbyists, then don't listen to them. But the science never lies, the actual science, until it's found.
You'll continue to post. Tell everyone where they can find you on social media.
Yes, of course. I'm on Instagram, so it's my name, @AdamCroasdell. I'm also on Twitter, although I'm less. There's too many platforms for me, so I'm concentrating only on mainly on Instagram. But I am on Twitter @Croasdell. And those are the two major places that you can find me. So
I'm going to end our session with a quote from my mum and dad. For those of you who just tuned in for the first time, my dad growing up would always leave and write down his favorite quotes and hide them throughout the house, and I would find them as a child.
Oh, I love that.
He still does that to this day. When he comes and visits, I still months later, find things.
That's awesome.
So I've collected quotes from him and my mom, and they sent this one to me the other day. Yeah. Sometimes the best thing you can do is not think, not wonder, not imagine, not obsess. Just breathe and have faith that everything will work out for the best.
I love that.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad.
So much wisdom to that. Thank you.
True. Oh, I know. We have 2 minutes left. What are we going to do now?
Well, I don't know what we're going to do. I'm going to give you a heads up. Like, when you turn your quotes around, it's in reverse to us.
Oh.
So just so you know, I don't know why that is. It's some sort of weird.
Can read backwards too.
Yeah. Some people can. Yeah. If you're slightly dyslexic, like Tom Cruise, I mean, he would have been able to read that no problem.
Exactly. Or we'll sing again with delays and sound like two actors. That Karen, David, and Adam Croasdell, they have no sense of timing, no sense of. They couldn't get the lift right. They couldn't get the damn song right.
The lift right, nor the song right. I mean, how do they even call themselves professionals? How do they get paid for what they do?
I know, right?
It's hard to imagine.
I know.
So who do you have on next week, my love? Like, who's your?
I have Danielle Russell actually on Friday from Legacy.
On Friday. Great.
So I'm so excited. So this Friday, a quick turnaround. I'm going to be posting the new Tea with Karen challenge this afternoon. But you and I have to draw out 4 names for the gratitude jar. So we're going to do that this afternoon.
Great.
So,
let me know when. Perfect.
I love you.
I love you
guys,
too.
thanks so much for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in. It's been great having you with us.